Alright, so I've done some work. It turns out my car battery is on the passenger side, which I should have known. So I moved everything to switched it around, and then I decided to do some aesthetics. I don't fucking know. I decided to do some fancy shit on my own, because it's really easy to wire stuff if you just leave the wires flopping around. But I wired it into the terminal cup, and then I brought it around back so it's away from our power and amp, and then up and to the amp, and I basically left room here so there's no touching. Then I came from the battery and power, and the ground's going to go off an individual ground. It's not going to hook to the capacitor. Apparently you need one for the amp, one for the capacitor, and then I have the power to the capacitor. And then we're going to have a power come off here, come out and straight out so it's even, and then we're going to have a ground just come straight out here and go somewhere away from this one so we're not running too much electricity through the same spot on the chassis. And then the only thing left is the RCA and the turn-on wires, which will be bundled here, and they'll come right here in between these two spaces and down, and then underneath this and out, or they'll go all the way to the edge here and then out. I haven't decided yet. We'll see. I have to pull my trunk apart. I decided I'm probably going to do the install on my own, just because I kind of spent a lot of money on this really high grade wire. So yeah, I'll see you guys later. Alright everyone, welcome back. I've been doing some work off camera, and the work I've been doing is work that has been put all over the internet already, so I'm not really skipping anything important. I'm just skipping the stuff that I want to do right without jeopardizing the work, because I'm spending time with a camera. So as you can see, this is my workbench after spending like 4 hours last night trying to troubleshoot my wiring, which it turns out that the remote wire on the back of the head unit was connected to the wrong wire on the wiring harness, and it was causing it to ground out, I guess, and therefore when I connected the remote wire little splicer to it, it was wrong. So I cut off the wiring harness adapter from the remote wire, and then I connected the remote wire directly to the wire to the amp. So the remote wire is no longer attached to the wiring harness. Now you can't do this if you have the shaker system, because it has an factory amp which needs that remote wire, so I can't help you there. Let's go outside. Oh, somebody left the outdoor light on again. So last night I ran the fuse, and as you can see here, what I did is I ran this fuse right where the factory accessory already is, see? And I ran it down and just zip tied it right here, and you can see the wire's not there right now because I unhooked it so I could close my window because I was doing a test run. Like I said, the important thing, which is how to run the wire through the firewall and back to the back of the car, that's the important part. That I'll show you guys. But some of this other remedial stuff I really don't have time to screw with, unfortunately. So here we have the unit in the trunk in place. It's not exactly centered, but it's good enough. So what we had to do is we had to unscrew the capacitor and the amp and unscrew them and unhook them just to get that box to just barely fit in, and then we screwed them back and then pushed everything back and then came in from the back where the seats fold down and rehooked everything up. And so you can see here the power wire is just kind of hanging there, temporary, the ground wire and everything. So let me see if you guys can see the ground. Let me get out my phone and use the flashlight feature here. I got a lot of homework this week, so I can't really do too much video, unfortunately. So you can see the ground for the capacitor. Come on, focus. Okay, you can see I sanded down the surface, and unfortunately the ground terminal wasn't a full 4-gauge terminal, so I took half the wire for the 8-gauge part of it, and then the rest of it I kind of smashed underneath, which isn't the best way to do it, but the way I see it is I have 2 8-gauge terminals, so that's 4-gauge. That's not exactly right, but that's good enough because it's only 500 watts RMS, which doesn't really need 4-gauge in the first place. It's just recommended by Rockford because they want to sound all important and shit. So, now the next thing is, remember how we tucked our RCA cables and stuff up under the dashboard? Well, all you gotta do is just crawl up there and pull them down and then run them back for your temporary, let's see if I'm seeing what I'm seeing here. So all you gotta do is pull them down from underneath and then run them back temporarily. Also, when you're temporarily running your power cable, don't let it touch any metal or you'll short out your capacitor and weld the power cable to your chassis. I did not do that, but I know many people who have from not paying attention. So, yeah. So basically, what happened when, last night when I tried to pull these 2 cables out is I had them bundled up, and then for whatever reason I zip tied the bundle while it was just kind of bundled up right here in the dashboard. And if I hadn't zip tied it, I could have reached up with my hand and pulled it down, and that would have been it. So I had to take a knife and work my way up behind the dashboard and cut those zip ties and then pull the bundle down, and I really fucked myself. And as I said earlier, I had to take all this apart again in order to redo the remote wire. And I'm still having some small troubles. So now what we're gonna do is I'm gonna roll down the window here, because I don't want the door to accidentally cut the wire. Like when you're testing your system, you don't want to put the wire through the door jamb. Is that a spider? I had a nightmare last night about massive spider web getting stuck on my face. That was not fun. So we're gonna run this out the door like this so the door doesn't accidentally smash our wire. Make sure you're not touching any metal with your power, and then because of the way the capacitor is, you have to tap this wire to the power a couple times to charge the capacitor. And whoa. And that's a really ghetto way to do it, but I mean, that's the only way to do it unless you want to waste your time with a charging circuit. So now we can get this aligned. And make sure you're not bridging power and ground with all this wattage, because then you're really going to be sorry. So now we're going to see if our amplifier is activated. It is, it's blue. I don't know if you can see that blue light. Why can't the camera see it? There, see it? Okay. So now we're going to run a test with dubstep, which hopefully isn't a copyright issue. And this is only on volume 10. I usually run it on 20, but apparently that's too much bass, so I have to redo all my levels. Shit. Where is this? Again, I'm not going to play the song too long because I don't know if the song is copyrighted or not. Hold up. I got mixed track. So, one issue I've come up with, as you've seen, is that my trunk vibrates way too much. Shut up, Candy. Shit. So, I don't know what to do about that. But yeah, we'll figure it out. So I'm gonna disconnect this power system and wrap everything up safely so I can get to school here today. And I will talk to you guys later.